here, and I'm honored to be here with Sir Ronald, my dear friend, who everybody, not everywhere in the world knows about him, and specifically the Palestinians actually. His work for peace and his vision for peace is well known, not only in Palestine but all over the world. I'm honored to be with you today. Anyway, I'm a Palestinian who lived in Washington for 37 years. I came from a town called Nablus, for those of you who don't know it, and biblically known as Samaria. I went to Washington, I worked in New York, and then I went to Washington in 1973. And during that period in the 80s, 90s, I was very interested in to see, because of my background, to see a process of peace going on in that particular area. I traveled with President Clinton to all his trips actually to the Middle East during the process of Oslo and the whole process of his plan and Arafat's visit and everywhere. For the last 20 years, I've watched the peace process in terms of its achievements and its failures. The achievements is that the two people decided to sit down and sign a peace agreement. And we all had high hopes, 93, when both sides signed at the White House law. We all got excited. Al Gore founded Builders of Peace, so he wanted to entice business people from America to go and invest in Palestine so that we can create better conditions in that area. After 10 years, you know where it is, the peace process. We're back again to zero level. We're hoping now that we move with Obama here in power. But we are at a level where it made me think, after our failures to achieve, it made me think that we should start functionalism. Functionalism means improving the livelihood of the Palestinian people through education, through building schools, through paying attention to children, through empowering women, and creating business opportunities for people to come in and invest. While the peace negotiations is going on, we cannot ignore the facts that there are a lot of issues we could serve the Palestinian economy. It's good for peace, it's good for the Palestinian people. In the 90s, I formed with Shimon Peres a fund called Fund for Peace Technology. We brought Israelis, we brought Palestinians to share in that fund, we brought the World Bank. And the idea was to invest in Palestinian territories and build a better relation between these two people. The politics failed us, and we had a lot of problems as we went along. But the idea that we did a fund, and we brought some 30 investors from Israel, and we brought Palestinian investors about 15 years ago, that was successful to a degree that we brought them together. But the fund failed because we failed on all the other level of politics. Today, I decided about a few years ago that the best thing we can do, since all these negotiators who go in and negotiate, we always have different plans. Abu Mazen comes to Washington, then Ross goes to Tel Aviv and Palestine and so forth. We really have not accomplished much. We are not there yet. But we cannot sit and say there is nothing could be done. That's why my approach to the whole process is to start empowering women, providing education for children, and building new cities. And there is the business opportunity for everybody to go there. In Palestine right now, we're building a new city called Rawabi, which is the first Palestinian city where Sir Ronald knows about it. We have built a good program for women, training women on business. And we have built a program for children in Nablus, and we want to take it to Gaza and everywhere. Now, for you as business people to go there, would you be able to achieve, to do some business there? Yes, there are opportunities. And I think there are opportunities and there are impediments. There is difficulties in doing business in the area in terms of there's no freedom of movement. There's no political solutions. Our goods, if you are a businessman, your goods will stay in Haifa for 1 year or more. There is no opportunities that are given in terms of freedom of movement. But yet the Palestinians, like people like Riyadh and people like other people, have done business. Why? Because their heart is in the business. They are motivated. They think they could go around these problems. They can go and deal with Israelis and fight to get the better situation for themselves. We have companies like Paltel, for instance. Yes, some of their goods are 1 year. They can stay in 1 year in Haifa, but then they cannot they cannot use their in Area C, the stations for their telecommunications. But yet they fight with Israelis constantly to get, and the company is doing well. There is Rawabi. We were able to do all these kinds of things and bring businesses to build a new city. We went to Nablus. There was a conflict, yet some of the young girls who went to Nablus, like Nell and others, were able to be accepted, even when Nablus was a hardship area. They went and lived in Nablus. And the city and the people accepted them because they came up with good projects. They were there to help. They were there to give education to children. And they were pioneers, and they started programs for internship program where we have kids coming from